Have you ever heard such accounts of frickin' jury selection? They're over the top.
At Court TV, we cover jury selection from time to time. Usually we don't because it's kind of slow moving. It's absolutely important for the lawyers. These are the people who will decide the case. But in terms of like, what are you taking from it? There's not a lot to take from it. And what you just read and the description of it is the same description you could have at any jury selection moment with any defendant in any courtroom from coast to coast. So perhaps making it out to be a little bit more.
Normally, Jonna, the way it would read is the defendant appeared tired. He conferred with counsel. Period. Like only in the case of Donald Trump do we have to go motion by motion. He jerked the breast pocket, the whisper. There was an actual tweet yesterday from Newsweek, and it wasn't just Newsweek. The Hill, forget me, and it wasn't just them, as follows. Trump just looked at something on a cell phone before handing it to his attorney during his trial. Oh, stop the presses! He looked at a phone! Like, what are we doing, right? They're just desperate to fill their 24/7 cable news cycle, and everything Trump does to them, it is like porn. They can't pull themselves away.
When you cover jury selection on Court TV, it's about who's making it onto this jury. What are they saying? There's very little attention paid to the defendant unless there is something noteworthy happening. And this is not noteworthy. What's noteworthy is what are the answers that these jurors are giving? What are the rulings the judge is making about whether or not people should be bumped off of the selection because of whatever bias they may or may not have? Those are the issues that we generally cover during jury selection, not glances at phones or head nods or whispers.
Or mouthing, "How are you?" to a court guard. Hello. So he behaved like a human. Like, this is only news in this bizarre Trump obsession media cycle. I do want to talk about the jury so far. So they've seated 7, Vinnie. So far, they need 5 more, and then they need 6 alternates as well, 18 in total. And let's talk about the profile of the ones who they've seated so far. And you tell me what you think about how this is going for Trump and the prosecution. 1, the 4-person, which I guess is just juror 1, works in sales. Let's talk about him one by one. Works in sales, some college, enjoys the outdoors. He's originally from Ireland, married, no kids, lives in West Harlem. He reads the New York Times and the Daily Mail and watches some Fox News and MSNBC. This has got everybody chatting that he put down both Fox and MSNBC. And I heard CNN saying, don't panic if you're against Trump, that he said Fox News, because he might just be referring to Fox Local, which, that's not the Fox News. What do you make of that profile?
Well, the first thing that's shocking me about the whole process is how quickly it's moving. I mean, we've got 7 already. I cover trials with people who are not celebrities, people who are not known by anyone, and it takes longer to find jurors. And in this case, we're finding jurors who don't have a strong opinion about one of the most famous men in America, one of the most divisive men in America that everyone has an opinion on. And don't tell me that New Yorkers don't have strong opinions. They have strong opinions on everything, from pizza to bagels to obviously President Trump. So the how quickly this is going, 7 in one day, shocked me. But with this particular juror, and this is one thing I know a lot of attorneys talk about, which are in high-profile cases, are stealth jurors. Jurors who will say what they need to say to make sure they get on the jury. Yeah. Like, who watches Fox and MSNBC that's not in television news?
That's exactly right. You're nailing it. I completely agree with that. I said this to my team. I'm like, we're the only ones who watch both of these. No normal human watches both Fox and MSNBC unless it's the occasional hate watch of one or the other. And, this guy's profile to me, Jonna, that he reads the New York Times. He says the Daily Mail. Okay, that's a fun, newsy online site, but it's more right-leaning, but you go there for other things. A lot of people go there for other things like celebrity news. And nothing about the Journal or the New York Post. suggests that the one he's lying about is the Fox News, and that anybody excited on the Trump team should probably calm down. Living in West Harlem, originally from Ireland, married, no kids, New York Times, MSNBC. I don't know. I would say not ideal for Trump. What do you think?
No, probably not. And this is why they need somebody who's immediately checking all of these jurors' regular social media accounts and all of the fake social media accounts. See, that's another thing that goes along with being, a stealth juror, or they sometimes call them a Trojan juror. Like, these people could have 18 different social media accounts. Fortunately, they probably didn't know that they were going to be part of the pool for Trump until they got to court, so they couldn't maybe delete some things. But this is why you have to go behind the scenes to figure out who these people really are. And listen, I've been saying this all along. Donald Trump can not only get a fair trial in New York, he can't get a fair trial on the planet. So how the heck they have already seated 7 as of yesterday, with the one saving grace, 2 saving graces being 2 of them are attorneys. And that might be very helpful to Donald Trump.
To your point, the defense attorney, Mr. Blanche, confronted a potential juror here. I'm not sure who we're quoting this from, but forgive me because I don't have the news source in front of me. But they said that he confronted him about a Facebook post in which he celebrated that Trump lost a court battle over his travel ban and said, referring to Trump, "Get him out and lock him up." The judge agreed with Todd Blanche that this person, albeit years ago, had already expressed a desire for Trump to be imprisoned. This juror was dismissed for cause. But keep in mind, these jurors didn't even get in front of the lawyers for questioning unless they said, "I can be fair." Half the jury pool said, "I admit I can't be fair." This guy was like, "I can be fair. Get me in there." Okay, this is why we have voir dire, to figure out who's a liar. Let's move on to the next one. Next juror selected for the Trump trial. A young black woman who has friends with strong opinions about Trump. He has friends with strong opinions about him. She says she is not a political person, though, and she appreciates that the former president speaks his mind. She teaches English language in a public charter school system. She has a master's degree in education. I'd want her off if I were Trump. Like, they don't want master's degree. Okay, but sometimes you don't have a choice. She's not married, and she doesn't have any kids. She said she tries to avoid political conversations and doesn't really care for the news. Per CNN, she said she wasn't aware that Trump is facing charges in other criminal cases. Now, can I just say, Vinnie, I actually know people like this. I know people who are just not news consumers, black and white, who are not political, who just kind of go about, it's not our world, but it's there. I believe such a person may exist, but I don't believe such a person would generally be favorably inclined to Trump. What do you think?
Yeah, this is, look at the overall pool, though. I mean, where you're coming from. You come from New York, so it's a problem to begin with. So it's like you got to pick the best of the worst, or allow the best of the worst on. Charter school. I think the charter school thing was probably huge for Donald Trump's side, saying, well, maybe there's just a little bit of hope, there. But anyone in education, and, generally speaking, though, right? When I was a prosecutor, my fellow prosecutors, when I was a young attorney, said, get the teachers off your jury. Get the teachers off your jury. They see the good in everyone. But I don't think that's the case. Right. Well, in criminal defendants, right? So get rid of the teachers. But in this case, I think it works in the inverse for this particular criminal defendant.
Yeah. You're not supposed to consider race or gender or age in striking a juror, but there's zero chance both sides didn't factor in the reality that she's a black woman, and that overwhelmingly in America, black women don't like Trump, though there are many who do. Those are the exceptions, not the rule if you look at the general polling, but she must have balanced out at least to be not terrible in the Trump team's view. Okay, let's do number 3. An Oregon native. Out. No. Oregon native who works as a corporate lawyer. Okay, rehabilitating corporate lawyer. You could be more right-leaning. I don't know. You know the system. You make some money. Once you start to earn money, the government takes half of it. You get a little bit more conservative, some people, at a big firm. He says he enjoys hiking. I think it's a he. Hiking and running. He's lived in Chelsea For 5 years, you can live a lot of places in Manhattan. Chelsea's a much more liberal, very gay area. But I used to live in Chelsea. I'm not gay. Not that it matters, but it might say something about politics. He also appears to be a man who likes to hike and run. Okay, he says he reads the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and Google for his news. Younger man, never married, no kids. Jonna, what do you make of him?
All right. The only thing I like about this guy is that he's a lawyer, which means maybe he will be able to actually follow the law, which in this case is very favorable to Donald Trump, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little while. Other than that, everything else to me screams, get him off. And that's another thing, you know, when a lot of these jurors are saying they get their news from Google, like I'm confused. Were they just given a list and they checked boxes, or did they actually kind of fill in the blank? Yeah, here's where I get my news. So I don't even know how reliable that part of the screening process is. But I do like the fact that he's a lawyer. Maybe he can go back to his law school roots and figure out that, you know, look, prosecutor is not always right and the defense isn't always wrong, and might be the one holdout on this jury, which is all Donald Trump really needs.
As we approach another critical election, many Americans are concerned. Recent studies show that an astonishing 56% of citizens report feelings of anxiety or dread about the upcoming election. But I want to tell you about AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC is more than a senior org. During these challenging times, they fight for common sense and for the U.S. to return to traditional American values. Visit amac.us/Megyn today to get an exclusive election year special, a 4-year AMAC membership for just $30. As an AMAC member, you not only enjoy money-saving benefits, but also the AMAC magazine, free Social Security and Medicare advice, a trusted voice in Washington, and a community of like-minded patriots. Take advantage of this election year special, 4 years for $30, and be part of the solution. Join now at amac.us/Megyn. That's amac.us/MEGYN. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.